Cameron Smith says, Bill, why not do live talks in Dallas-Fort Worth area? If you look at the electoral map, Collin County, Texas is as dark red as it gets. Seems like a place where you could make a killing doing conservative self-defense talks. This seems like the most fertile ground for your message, name, and brand to take off. That's very kind of you. But the glory of the internet is here we are, talking to everybody around the world here. People ask me all the time, Cameron, I mean, virtually every time I'm on the road, and especially when I'm in Dallas. When we went out to the happiest hour in Dallas, Sarge and Dave and everybody said, why don't you live here? Why are you going back to California? It's so crazy there. And I tell them, if you're going to be a volcanologist, you got to live next to the volcano, right? But the real answer is because the weather in California and the scenery it's unsurpassed. It's unsurpassed. You're talking about a kid who grew up in Bermuda, which is one of the most beautiful places in the world, and then went to South Florida, where I think the highest elevation is probably 7 or 8 feet above sea level in South Florida. And it's very wet. In fact, it's damp all the time. You're always damp. And at 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the morning, in the summertime, that hot, humid sun is pushing you down into the ground. And there are mosquitoes there, and in waves and giant palmetto bugs, which really don't bother me so much, but the mosquitoes certainly did. By the way, I heard a joke about mosquitoes from a book called With the Old Breed, which is about a guy named Edward Sledge's experiences on Peleulu and Okinawa. And I think these were two Australians talking, and they were talking about the mosquitoes. And the mosquitoes were trying to decide whether or not they should, eat this, suck all the blood out of this human right here, or whether they should take it back. And the other mosquito says, well, if we take it back, then the big ones will get us. We'll get it. Probably mangled that more than I needed to. No, I mean, it's important for me to be here. Texas doesn't need any help. Texas doesn't need any help. Now, Sarge points out the painful truth, and that is that you have to pay those crazy taxes. If I were to move to Texas tomorrow, I would suddenly be 9% richer than I am now, instantly. We have a 9% income tax rate. And then, our sales tax is insane. Property taxes are insane. Everything's regulated here. Los Angeles is a collection of people with tin cups that knock on your door all the time asking for money, and if you don't give it to them, they'll put you in jail. It's a horrible place politically, and it's terribly run, and the roads are crap, and we have the 5th biggest economy in the world, or used to anyway, and nobody knows where it goes because it's not going into roads, it's not going into irrigation, it's not going into power plants, it's not going into any of these things, it's going into people's pockets. Because this is the bluest state in the union, and we will pay the price for that. By the way, when you say it's the bluest state in the union, it's absolutely true if you look at the state, but if you look at the counties, if you look at how California votes by county, you will see that California is actually a very bright red state with 3 gigantic blue blotches. San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego. And there's so many people in these centers compared to the rest of the state that it goes Democrat all the time, but geographically, most of California is conservative, believe it or not. So I'm afraid I'm going to stay, and thank you very much for the offer. So there we go. Yeah, I think we'll probably finish them all. We're doing okay. Is that all right, honey? Is it okay if I finish the show? Thank you, baby. I'm going to finish the goddamn show whether she says I can or not. Tell me when I can finish my show. Tell me I'll finish a show. Nothing, honey. Nothing.